So, I mean, do you think it's realistic for your average Joe expat to go to the Philippines with, say, like, I don't know, $20,000, try to start a business? Do you think that's a good idea or what?
Does he have experience?
Probably not. He probably just hears it's a good idea. I think a lot of foreigners just want to be the cool bar owner type of thing, run a bar. But where are we going?
This way.
Oh.
I'm sure the Philippines likes it, but it's not a good idea unless you got experience and a hell of a plan figured out.
Well, because your family actually runs a legit bar in Louisville. I mean, do you think your average guy that's never done it before can be successful at it or not?
No.
No?
It's as rare as finding a bodybuilder on the boulevard.
Really?
Yeah. It takes a lot of work. That's why there ain't that many of them out there, to be honest.
Because from what I've heard, it's problematic too. A lot of guys run into trouble. Locals getting into fights, property owners raising prices and so forth.
It's just, if you've never had one before, there's just not much chance it's going to succeed. But it's okay. A lot of people don't open them to make money. A lot of people just open them to be the boss of a local business and get to be the guy that walks in and opens the doors every day and talk to people.
It gives them like a kind of a feeling of status and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. A lot of businesses, though, yeah, they don't care about making a profit. If you got enough in the bank, you know, you can just run a business and break even, lose a little bit every year. If you're happy with what you're doing, it can still work out for you. But if you're getting into it to make money, that's going to be your goal. You got to make money. It's highly probable it ain't going to work out.
Especially in the Philippines?
You're older guys going to the Philippines for the first time or going there to open up a business for the first time, it's highly unlikely going to work.
I know the owner of the Big Bamboo Beach Resort. He was telling me, I did a video with him in Sapali down at Sugar Beach. He said that anybody who wants to run a bar, it's better to do it at a resort. So you should really, you know, if you want to be successful, he says to, you know, get the capital and open up a good resort in a good spot, obviously, and that's the best place to run a bar, according to him.
You know, again, when you're thinking about opening a business in the Philippines, it's like, what are your goals? I mean, that should be the first question. I mean, when I say I like to have a business in the Philippines, you know, everybody thinks you mean you're going to go to the Philippines and start making money, and it's like, that's the last thing I think is going to happen.
Yeah, right.
If it's part of it, that would be great, but...
So it's almost like you should look at it as maybe just to kind of sustain, maybe, if even that.
One, I might be trying to open a business now, so I learned the things I need to learn for the real business I'm looking forward to opening in 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
Say the resort I might open in 3 or 4 years. Well, I might want to know who's the local businesses and who are the important people to know in town, and so you might do some smaller businesses first. Learn what you need to know, see how your attorney does. How does the money work with the banks? Is everything working the way you should? Do you have a good bank for your business? What happens when you run into problems? You'd rather run into problems with a small, unimportant situation versus a bigger investment like a resort.
Right. Well, what do you think about those guys, though? Like, for instance, down in some of these tourist locations, like in Boracay or Sapali, and they invest, you know, 10 million pesos or about $200,000 into a resort. Do you think some of those guys can be successful? Because according to them, they are.
You're talking to the ones that are doing the talking. If they're being honest, then you're talking to the select few that are.
Yeah.
I know that there are resorts for sale everywhere, all over the Philippines, all the time. So
see, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, I'm a type of guy, like, I want to keep things simple. I don't want to bring more stuff into existence that's going to complicate my life. You know what I'm saying?
What age group are you even talking about? Like, when you say, like, when I hear that comment, I think of senior citizen, older guy's got his retirement money, and he's going to risk it on a resort. You know, that doesn't mean that's who's all doing it, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. But it could be a 35-year-old who married his, you know, wife, and they got a lot of money, and if the business don't work, they're fine. They'll be okay. Not everybody goes broke just because the business goes out of bed. But you know, if you're going to go into a business in the Philippines, hopefully it ain't all your money.
Absolutely. But like I said, for me, I don't like to complicate my life with stuff. Does that make sense? Or how do you see
No, it does. I mean, honestly, though, you know, the more I watch what's going on in the Philippines, the more I listen to all the expats and all the vlogs and stuff. It's like simpler is better. Going over there trying to achieve things that you've never even achieved in your own country,
right?
And then you're going to go over there and achieve it for the first time. You're just inviting just a complete mess of a situation in the Philippines.
A king colonial fantasy, like the expats that lose their mind once they go to these countries because they realize maybe they have a little bit more social status, their money goes further, and you think they become delusional, or it goes to their head and they think they can become like big, successful business guys there.
There's definitely that going on. That's why you got so many people vlogging about their lives and their homes that they build. A lot of them ain't vlogging about the homes to help you. They're vlogging about their homes to tell you, look what I've done.
Right.
And that's okay. I mean, it's okay to show what you've got, you know, but, you know, somebody's got a home, somebody's got to have a business, somebody's got to have a resort, you know.
Well, I'm building a house right now. I put it in the community section, but it's a small house. I mean, it's not really a vanity project. It's pretty much for my son. I mean, he's going to own it. And his mother. And, you know, that's kind of the way it should be. I mean, a lot of foreigners complain that you can't own property and you can't own a house in the Philippines, but like I was saying, man, like with more and more Americans moving out there in the future, and Europeans and everybody else, they wouldn't have a country left, dude. If we could buy up land and houses there, can you imagine? I mean, every rich foreigner would pretty much buy up the Philippines. Like, they would have barely a country left.
Well, if you could just, yeah, but, you know, going back to what you said a second ago, I mean, the more I'm watching it, the simpler is better scenario. I'd rather I'm almost to the point where I just make my money here and spend it there versus trying to make anything there.
Really?
I will try things for my brother-in-laws. I want to help them out. And if they're as good as I think they'll be, you know, it'll be fun to risk it. You know, and we're not talking huge amounts of money, but it'll be significant. But more for the learning aspect of it. You know, I got to learn these things for my daughter when I get her in business in 5-10 years.
Yeah.
I'd rather learn now the problems and the ins and outs. Same thing with anybody else. I mean, starting a business, you know, when you go out there and you broadcast that, you're going to invite people to hope that you fail. They don't want to see things happen, but that's part of getting a good business is failing a few times, learning what you needed to learn, see what was really in need and what you did wrong so you can get it right eventually. And you ain't going to do that. You're not going to swing for the fence one time and hit a home run on your first business venture.
So that's what I'm saying, man. I'm a common sense type of guy as well. I've never claimed to be an expert in macroeconomics and big and small business, but to me, if you're a foreigner, like you just said, doesn't it make more sense to try to make the dollar or the euro in your home country as opposed to go into a poorer country? No offense, I mean just less money, less developed country, and try to make more money. It's weird. It doesn't, you know what I mean? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Or maybe it does.
And that's why I started YouTube. You know, besides my daughter and all the basic ABC things I did YouTube for, but there's a clear need for future expats to have people to talk to and consult with. You know, I used to laugh at people try to do consultations, you know, on their channel, and it's like, oh my God, no, I see now firsthand there is a huge demographic of future wannabe expats who need consultation, absolutely. Yeah. And that's where I'm going to take this. You know, I expect that to be a big part of my channel in the next year. There's so many people who need to have their hand held, and it's okay to say it that way because they know it. They know that they have no clue what they're getting themselves into. They just know they're ready to go and try it. And yeah, so a few $100s for a real consultation, somebody who's really going to help you. You know, not send you an ebook with, you know, a bunch of AI information put on it, like most of the ebooks out there nowadays on the Philippines. A real consultation, somebody that's on the ground, done it, lived it, a part of it, and can actually help you. You know, 1 hour online, you're not going to learn anything 1 hour online with anybody. You're going to have to meet somebody, and it's going to take many hours. This is your future life that you're going to go spend, that you're thinking about you want to spend it. You know, if you're not willing to put in a few hours to learn whether or not it's the right choice.
So can you run a professional bar in the Philippines?
I mean, you can try. I mean, locations it's going to be everything in what you're...
Jay the Enforcer. Well, it's kind of like, I mean, you know, if you're doing the bar thing, you got to like tell people what to do, right? Like, isn't that how that works?
You have to. And if they don't respect you or have a little concern, like, oh, we don't want to upset him, then you're just going to get walked over. So it's like, how do you do that as an owner of a bar? You want people to respect you without disliking you.
Because you've actually run bars, your family. That's why we're advising foreigners in the Philippines. Generally, it's not a good idea to get into the bar business. And Jay has a lot of stories. He has to tell people not to drop their pool balls. He has to kick people. I mean, you get a bunch of drunks in there. I mean, what happens? No, you don't do that. Okay, he doesn't kick people.
That's the quickest way to lose the bar.
That's the quickest way to lose the bar. So you're more of a cooler.
I'm a cooler.
Jay's a cooler, man.
But
say cooler again with your Kentucky accent.
Cooler.
There you go.
I sound like a girl.
So there, no, he didn't. You're good. So there you have it, folks. Running a bar is a bad idea, I guess. No, it is. I always advised against it too.
There's good business people out there that know what they're doing, and that person don't need anybody's advice. He knows what he's doing.
But it's also, I mean, isn't there a little bit of an ethical thing? I mean, you're a foreigner going to a less developed, poorer country, selling a community of Filipinos who, some of them may be in poverty. You're selling them alcohol, drawing drama, fights. No, you have no
going
issues.
Down I mean, you can try to play the moral high ground on that. We're not saying you are doing that, but I'm just saying to the people who would say that, when you can buy liquor every, I've heard nothing but Red Horse, and that's the funniest thing with everybody, because what it does to everybody, Red Horse, it'll mess you up, and everybody loves the Red Horse. Yeah. It's like, okay, no, I don't even want to hear any of that moral high ground
Okay,
stuff.
there's no ethical or moral high grounds to selling alcohol to an impoverished group of people.
You're selling it not to the impoverished, because you're going to have it priced for the expat.
Okay.
Because you're not going to be in business selling it to the other people, and you don't want that there. That's why it's like gambling. You try not to have gambling because you don't want people with little money to be gambling. You don't want to make situations worse. If you're going to have a bar in the Philippines as a foreigner, you're most likely catering to a foreign crowd. If a local wants to come, that's fine, but that's not what you're opening it up thinking who's going to fill your bar. Yeah,
yes and no. It depends on where you open it, like in a tourist spot. I told the story of Elliot on my channel, a British friend. That's not his real name. We'll just say he was in Cebu, and he ran a bar in a province, not like in a major tourist area, but most of the customers were Filipino, and had karaoke and all that. One day, Elliot, and he's kind of like this ballin', draws a lot of attention to himself. He's a cool guy. He's into rock and roll. He's British, but he's kind of outspoken for a British man. Anyway, so this guy singing karaoke one morning in the bar. Elliot's hungover, okay? And it was a Filipino guy. It's like 10 a.m. He's like, "Oh, for God's sake, can you stop singing, mate? It sounds terrible." And he really didn't like it. And needless to say, the guy was quite offended. So later on, about a half hour later, his uncle comes by riding on a tricycle, and he kind of charges up to Elliot going, "Hey, what do you think you're doing moving to our town, telling Filipinos what to do, barking orders at people?" And he throws a bottle at Elliot, okay? So Elliot, being hungover, drunk, 250 pounds.
That's your first problem. You can't drink when you own the bar.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, he gets up and charges at the guy, clotheslines him, okay? The guy's on the ground. He kicks him in the face, knocks out his teeth. It turns out that this guy was connected to like some barangay something, and he was like, I don't want to say, whatever. He had some connections apparently. So it turned into a big issue. And our good friend Elliot there, he doesn't know him. He had to settle this, which meant a lot of money.
Well, imagine that cost a lot of money.
And but the point of that is that bars can be problematic and dangerous for foreigners, folks. And they're not always not always foreigners that are going to show up to the bar either, depending on where it is. So.
Right.
Okay. Did you like my story, Jay?
I like your story.
Thank you.
I want to get this steak.
All right, let's go. Get out of the car.